Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Going to be taking a look at a Terran strategy today. In this particular replay, our Terran player here is Control, and our Protoss opponent is Adele Scott. It's going to Control Vision. So I'm pretty excited about this actually. This is something that's a little unorthodox. This isn't a normal Terran build. We're going to be looking at a Marine Raven Medivac push early game. Now this push is going to come sometime before the 10-minute mark. Something important to realize is you need to get this push out relatively early, because if you don't, if your opponent can tech up to High Templar, or if they can tech up to Colossus before you push with a Marine heavy army, you're likely to be in a lot of trouble. So for one, you need to scout. You need to make sure you know what they're getting. If they're going for a 4-gate build or a 3-gate robo, any variation like that, you're going to be pretty safe to do this build, and it can be a very strong and effective build. Let's think about the units. Marines, pretty strong, especially upgraded Stim Pack and Combat Shield, very good. Marines coupled with Medivacs, even better. Mobility, extra healing, okay, everything's looking good so far. The Raven's kind of the crucial unit. It's going to allow you to deal with those Stalkers very easily. Stalkers can do very well against Marines. Obviously, once you have like a huge mass of Marines, pretty much nothing stops them, short of, you know, late tier units or just a huge pile of Banelings. But even the Banelings with Stim Pack, Marines do pretty well. But in the normal states of the game, in the mid game, before there's just a giant mass of Marines, you know, Stalkers will do very well against them. So having the ability to use the Raven's point defense drone is pretty much what is going to make this push win. That slight cutback in time where you stop the Stalkers from firing, allowing your Marines to dish out massive damage, using that point defense drone, that period of time is really where the victory is going to be decided or not. So you need to make sure for this push to be effective that you do a good job in placing that point defense drone before you lose too many Marines and allowing them to do as much damage as possible. Opening up, starting off with a 10 depot, also seeing an 11 Barracks, 12 Refinery, and 15 Orbital Command. You notice how everything past the depot is shifted 1. This is basically just to allow you to get that Refinery a little bit earlier so you can get that gas a little bit faster. Going for a fast Raven, very gas intensive, so getting that gas 1 supply earlier, that's basically the purpose behind doing that. Starting off with that basic build, again, the Orbital was at 15, this Refinery is coming down to 18 supply. Moving into our opponent's base, seeing very standard 2 gas. That's not unorthodox. Most Protoss players for most builds need 2 gas. Protoss is a very gas-intensive race, most of their builds are. And then seeing the Gateway and the Cybernetics Core. So very standard opening, nothing too fishy going on here, nothing to really worry about. Back in our base here, we are seeing this Reactor go down. We did drop that at 19 supply. That Reactor went down on the Barracks. Also, right before that at 18 supply, getting that second Refinery. Again, we're going to need a lot of gas to get an early Raven, so we're getting the first Refinery a little earlier than normal, and then the second Refinery coming pretty early at 18 supply as well. Early game bunker. What's the point of this? Well, you have to realize you're teching up pretty hard. You're pretty much only going to have Marines early game. What does this make you susceptible to? Against Protoss, it makes you susceptible to an early push with Stalkers. Again, those Marines aren't going to do so well early game against the Stalkers, so having this bunker pretty much saves you from it. You're not going to be able to afford Marauders because, again, we're going for a very gas-intensive Raven and Medivac and Marine build. Those Ravens and Medivacs are what we're pretty much saving all of our gas for, so just using those Marines early game as defense, this bunker becomes pretty essential. That's what's really going to save you against an early push. Now, to make sure that this push is going to be successful, like I said, you have to look for early game Colossus. That's something you have to be worried about. So moving into his base here, what do we see? Well, we saw Starport, so we know that early game Colossus probably isn't coming. We're safe to do this with our factory because we're not planning on producing out of it, and it's got a lot of health, so even if it did get attacked, we can move it back in time. Now, whether that's a Void Ray or a Phoenix, either way, you're going to be pretty safe because you have Marines. Early game Marines going to do well against both Void Rays and Phoenixes. Let's take a look at this timing for these other buildings. Again, we're going to be going Marine, Raven, Medivac, so we are getting 2 more Barracks out. The first Barracks came down at 22 supply, second Barracks came down at 27 supply. Obviously, we came out with the Starport right after that factory, and that was at 21 supply. Again, all this build order stuff, it's going to be in the beginning of the video, as well as in the video description. Using the factory to get a full scout of your opponent's base, this is very beneficial for the reason I said, because you want to make sure there's no Colossus coming. If there are, this push isn't going to be as effective, and you're going to want to push a little bit earlier. You want to get there before anything like Colossus hits the board. So if we saw that Colossus were coming, if we saw a Robo Bay down, then we would want to push before the 9 or 10 minute mark. But without that, we know we're going to be pretty safe for our normal timing push that we want to try to do. Going to be switching up after we get this one Raven out. We just need the one. Again, this is a very intense build in the fact that it's very micro intensive. If you lose this Raven before your push, or if you lose it at the beginning of your push before you drop the point defense drone, chances are this push isn't going to work. You need to keep it alive, but we just want to get the one because we're going to be using the rest of our Vespian gas to get Medivacs. From this point forward, what we have is what we have. We're coming out with Marines, we have this one Raven, and we're coming out with Medivacs, and that's what we're going to continue producing. Also coming down with this engineering bay, this is going to allow us to get weapon level upgrades, and then it's also going to allow us to drop down missile turrets. We did see that we're getting harassed by some Phoenixes, but again, Marines, they're plenty capable of dealing with it. While you're working up to your push here, we're at about the 8 minute mark, so the push will be coming soon. Gonna want to get some upgrades. We started off with the stim pack, and then gonna also be getting that combat shield as well. That's coming right there. And when you push out, you should have both of those upgrades, and that's really what's gonna basically push this over the edge and make it an effective and strong push. Push it over the edge. Alright, so moving out right now with the Marines taking down these destructible rocks. Obviously this is map specific, but this very short rush distance does make this push effective as well, so that's something else to realize. Any map with a short rush distance, obviously on this one the rush distance is only short because of these rocks, so you have to take these down. But on maps such as Steps of War, or in any 4-player map where you're not cross-position and you're near position, this push can work as well. And just realize it relies on scouting and it relies on an effective use of the point defense drone. If you can do both of those against a Protoss player who's just going for a basic gateway mix with maybe some Immortals as well, you're going to be pretty set. You're going to be in a really good position. I'm going to be using these Medivacs as well as this Raven to get vision of the high ground, or not the high ground, but vision over the rocks. This is going to allow us to see what he has on the other side, and there we go. We see that he's preparing for this. Obviously a little worried about force fields, so you do want to make sure that you're pretty careful with your units and you don't get trapped. And this is pretty much going to be the decisive point, this battle right here. Again, getting that point defense drone and dropping it in a good position is going to be what is going to make you win. So stim packing as we're moving in, dropping the point defense drone right there. Look at that, those Marines were not getting hit. That damage that they took was from the stim pack. It's because of that point defense drone. Now they finally worked through all the energy, so the point defense drone isn't effective anymore. But because you've been, stim packed up and you have upgraded Marines, you did so much damage that by the time they finally started attacking your units, most of his units are dead. And that's the idea. That's what you want to do with this push. Upgraded Marines with Stimpack and Medivacs, this Raven with point defense drone, this can be a very, very strong push against a Protoss opponent. You can see here, again, we mopped up most of his Stalkers. He's got a little more there, but right now with Stimpack and with these Medivacs healing, this amount of Stalkers is not going to be enough to take out these Marines. Also, all the while, we're using our hotkeys, continuing to produce units. You can see that there, and Adel Scott does have to call a good game. So, excellent game by Control here, excellent strategy. Let's just go over it one more time, take a look at that build order. Starting off with the 10 depot, again, we got the relatively shifted early Barracks, Refinery, and Orbital, and the reason is getting that Refinery out early allows us to afford that Raven. So we saw 10 depot, 11 Barracks, 12 Refinery, 15 Orbital Command, 18 Supply is when we drop the factory down, 18 Supply also coming out that second Refinery, 19 Supply getting a Reactor on our initial Barracks, 21 Supply is when the Starport came down, 22 Supply was our second Barracks, 26 Supply getting a Tech Lab on the Starport, after that getting that Raven, 27 Supply was our third Barracks, and then also getting a Tech Lab on this Barracks here. So again, we get the 3 Barracks up, we get our Raven out, we start producing Medivacs, we keep pumping out Marines, and you get the upgrade for the Stimpack and the Combat Shield. You want to push out around the 9 to 10 minute mark, and you want to make sure there's no Colossus. Going to be a very effective push. Pretty fun too. Realize, this worked out the way it did, but you have lots of options. With these Medivacs, you can drop Harass, you can drop in the back of his base, drop in an expansion. This can be a very effective build. Just be wary of Colossus and High Templar, but besides that, Point Defense Drone is going to help you deal with the Stalkers, and you should be all set. So once again, guys, this has been Force from Force Strategy Gaming. If you guys like our videos and you like what's going on here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning, guys. leading up to this specific drop, and this is going to be something that in most cases is going to be very devastating. We're going to drop the Thor on this high ground, we're going to be able to reach the hatchery, then we're going to pick up these SCVs and bring them up top as well. Again, they can be used for repairing as well as dropping missile turrets. We also want to get rid of this Overlord because that'll give him sight for his spine crawlers, or if he has roaches or something, he'll be able to reach that Thor if you're trying to fight on the ledge to take off this hatchery.